Good morning. It is Tuesday morning. It is December the 13th. The rain is on its way. We are expecting some possibly severe weather because we have a cold front moving through later today. I think most of it is supposed to be south of us, but still um, stormy weather. I have been up for, I guess it's about 3:30. I went to bed early and I slept well, but I just woke up and I decided, well, I'm not going back to sleep, so I might as well get up and do some things. So I've done some chores in the house. I've done some laundry. I made a meatloaf, which is cooking. I ate the last banana of a bunch without it going bad, so I call that an adulting win. um, Fizzy is quite energetic, as you can see this morning. Um, Bernice is adjusting. She was not at all happy that I evicted her from her hidey hole, but she is adjusting to her new hidey hole thanks to Baxter. Baxter, you may know or not, is sort of the. When I brought Luna home, he kept Luna company while she was adjusting. Like I had her in a kennel carrier until she got over her spay and everything, and he stayed right beside her on the floor or on top of the carrier. Well, I found Baxter in the carrier because I took the door off of one of those kennel cabs, and that's where Barnice's hidey hole is now. I found Baxter in there with her. They were curled up sleeping, and right now he is sitting on top of it. I think he is just a comforting presence. Simon is right here wanting much attention also. Got a snotty eye this morning too. But anyway, so I am actually up working on my book, working on writing. I'm writing about snowflakes, but I read some interesting science news. Apparently, at Lawrence Livermore Lab, they created a laser started fusion reaction that produced 1.2 times as much power as needed to create it. And that's huge, right? That's huge. Because fusion, okay, what is fusion? Let's back up a minute. And this is going to be announced later today, apparently, by the Department of Energy. But at any rate, what is fusion? All right, fusion, there's two related processes. There's fusion, there's fission. Nuclear power right now runs on something called fission, where you take a large nucleus, in our case in the U.S., a uranium-235 nucleus. 235 means it's got 235 nucleons. Nucleons are protons and neutrons. They're held together by something called the strong nuclear force, which is the very strongest force in the universe, so far as we know. And the interesting thing about a nucleus is, if you take the mass of the nucleus and then take the mass of all the parts that went in to make the nucleus, they're not the same. The bound nucleus has a lower mass than the individual pieces. And this is called rest energy. And this is one of those interesting, unusual quantum mechanical phenomenons where matter and energy are really kind of the same thing. But what happens is, when you put the parts together, that mass converts into binding energy through the strong nuclear force to hold the nucleus together. When you break that nucleus apart, you are breaking the bonds of the strong nuclear force. And in the case of a uranium-235 nucleus, you're breaking it into smaller parts. It's kind of like when a soap bubble gets too big and it breaks apart, and it makes two, roughly the same size bigger bubbles and maybe some littler bubbles. That's basically what happens with a nucleus when you fire a neutron at it in a nuclear reactor. That's what they're doing in a nuclear reactor here in the U.S. They're taking uranium-235, they're shooting neutrons at it to start the reaction, and then it breaks apart. And we can talk more about that actual process. But what it does is it releases that energy, which is then used to heat up water, which then heats up more water through a heat exchanger or a boiler, which turns into steam, which turns a turbine, which makes the lights come on. So a nuclear plant is a fancy tea kettle. It boils water or heats water up. Okay, it's a fancy tea kettle. It's like a Keurig instead of a Mr. Coffee. Anyway, so fusion is the opposite process to fission. In fusion, you take two smaller nuclei and you put them together to make a bigger nucleus. So the sun does this all the time. That's why the sun shines. The sun shines because of hydrogen fusion going on in its core, where 4 hydrogens are being turned into one helium nucleus. Again, if you take the mass of the 4 hydrogens and the mass of the helium nucleus, they're not the same. That rest energy. So what happens there is when you put the things together, you get that energy out. Also, okay, for slightly different reasons, but it's still the same idea. It all has to do with this rest mass energy and bonding energy and all that. So fusion was always touted as the solution to fossil fuels because hydrogen fusion is 7 times more efficient than fission. Hydrogen is incredibly abundant. It's the most abundant element in the universe by far. So it's abundant, like ridiculously abundant. You know, the byproduct of it is helium, which is inert, non-radioactive, and is used. There's tons of applications for helium in industry and also balloons, right? So, you know, fusion was kind of touted as this is the key. This is the holy grail. If we can figure this out, we're golden. Well, the problem with fusion is it's going to be hot. It's going to be really hot for fusion to happen because nuclei don't want to be by, protons especially, do not want to be by each other. Because remember the whole opposites attract and like charges repel, you know, is the corollary to that. Protons have the same charge. They don't want to be by each other. So you have to have it hot enough and energetic enough to overcome their natural repulsion and get them close enough together to where that strong nuclear force takes over and pulls them together into a nucleus. That's the trick. And that takes a lot of energy. So that's heat. We don't have a box to hold that. We don't have a physical box to hold that. So we have to use what's called magnetic containment. They use magnets to create really, really super strong magnetic fields, like MRI times a bunch magnetic fields. And that's what holds the reaction, you know, that contains reaction. Well, the energy required to generate those really strong magnetic fields in the past has always been greater than the energy output of the fusion reaction. So it was just not economically viable, right? You can't do it on a scale that makes it worth doing for like lights coming on. But now apparently they have created a process where they got 1.2 times as much energy, and you may say, well, that's only 20% more. That's 20% more, and that's a start, right? So, I mean, we're still a long way out from seeing fusion reaction, you know, fusion power plants around. But hey, this is an exciting discovery, very exciting discovery. And I predict the people that are responsible for it will probably end up with a Nobel Prize in 10 or 20 years. So, you know, we'll see. My alarm went off and stopped my recording. But anyway, so like I said, I predict the people are very likely candidates for a Nobel Prize down the road. So it's very exciting. I'll know more later today, but I saw that article come across. Somebody mentioned it yesterday on social media, and then I saw the article this morning as I was looking at my phone. It popped up on the news feed. But anyway, so I am going to get back to work here, writing about snowflakes. And, yeah, so great day. Get off to a good start, right? All right, we'll check back in a little while. Well, I just got back from an unexpected opportunity. A friend of mine teaches yoga at a local yoga studio, and I had been mentioning to them that I was missing having my friend Lori's practice. So they invited me to a class today, and it was just what I needed. It was great. Really balanced and centered me, and I'm going to start going every week. I think it's at a time when I'm able to actually go. So I think I'm going to try. I bought a punch card, try to go every week. So I thought I would share some things though with you. First of all, Zane gave me this wonderful little pot of raspberry jam for hosting the wreath party the other day. Then my friend Joel loaned me this book. He got this from his auntie, and he said, I think you might enjoy reading this. So he loaned me this book to read. Yeah, I'm anxious to dig into this. And then Zen got me a surprise. I got a package today from Peppermint Narwhal on Etsy. And I got a sweet package. So, Sin, thank you very much for this. I love it. You know I love it. So I got a great sticker, and I got a great ornament. And this is definitely going to go on my tree when I put it up. So thank you so much for that. I am getting ready to log into the Zoom. I'm going to fix myself some lunch and log into the Zoom for the senior capstone presentations. Barnice is still MIA. She's in this house somewhere. I don't know where she is. But anyway, so yeah. And I'm going to go stop Baxter because he's wanting to eat part of my Christmas cactus. So I'll check in with y'all in a little while. My students' presentations, and then I went out and started to feed, and it was pouring, which I don't mind the rain, but it started lightning, and I don't get on a tractor when it's lightning, especially, well, if I had a cab tractor, I guess that would be different, but being on an open tractor when it's lightning is something I'm not willing to do. I decided I would wipe off my magnets that go on my refrigerator. I collect magnets everywhere I travel, and I cleaned off the front of my refrigerator, and now I'm putting them back. I like to handle them every once in a while anyway, just to remind myself of all the places that I've been. So I am wiping the dust off of these, and we'll put those back up on the refrigerator now that I've wiped the front of it down. And that's kind of what I've been doing. I listen to my students' presentations. Andrea did one about the radio telescope. Sierra did one about looking at the spectrum of metal poor stars and trying to figure out what elements are present in the spectra. Then Carol did one on neurodivergency in STEM. It was her honors thesis, but she had to do it for senior capstone in physics too. But also, another student that I enjoy watching is Hypatia. Hypatia, I have known for quite a while, and they are very active in the LGBT plus community, speaking at school board meetings and things like that to try to get some inclusive policies in place. They are working on looking at the atmosphere of Titan, and some of the new James Webb data that has just come out has been very exciting for their work. So that's been fun to watch their project evolve. So I am going to keep working on these magnets here. I gave the cows half their hay. I'll just have to short them today because it's going to storm the rest of the afternoon. It was storming from the time I got done with my project this morning. Even while I was driving up to go to yoga class, it was stormy. So I'm going to keep working on my magnets, and found Barnice. Barnice was behind the hot water heater. She had gotten in the cabinet where we had taken the door off. When the guy took the door off to fix my hot water heater, he broke it, and I just haven't fixed it yet. So she was able to push it aside and get in there, and then decided once she got in there she didn't know how to get out. So I found her and got her out. She was none too pleased, but I have got her back in the back bathroom with Baxter and have shut her up in there so that she can kind of settle down a little bit after her harrowing experience. I'm just tongue-in-cheek saying that. She was fine. But at any rate, so I am working on this, and then when I get done here, I'm going to take a hot shower because yoga was a lot. It was great, and I'm looking forward to continuing it. But it was a lot because I haven't done anything like that in a long time. So I was proud, though, I was able to keep up. So anyway, I'm gonna keep working on these, and I'll check back in with y'all here in a little while. I've had my shower and did some cleaning. I degreased my kitchen cabinets. I got it in my head it was going to be a big job and I could only do it with a sander. I just got some hot Dawn dishwashing liquid and water and a scrubber, and so now I can actually paint them. Woo! Okay, sorry, I had to take that call. Okay, let's see what we've got today in our calendar. Day 13. Oh, it's an Appaloosa! It's an Appaloosa! How exciting is that? Woohoo! Look at there. That's an Appaloosa. That is a leopard Appaloosa because the spots are all over the body. Blanket Appaloosas only have spotting over their hips. Well, that's not true. Let me back that up. If the horse, okay, how do I say this? Angel is a red roan Appaloosa with a blanket. She has leopard spotting, but over her hips, she doesn't have any roaning. It's pure white with spots. So she's a red roan leopard with a blanket. So, but this is a leopard Appaloosa. It is not a blanket Appaloosa. There's also snowflake Appaloosas, which are like reverse Appaloosas, which are dark with white flecks. There are snow caps and few spots. Few spots they have the other Appaloosa traits. Appaloosa horses actually have to have 4 characteristics. Spots are just one. A spotted coat is not enough to be registered as an Appaloosa. You have to have 2 of the 4 traits. Spotted coat, mottled skin. Got to have mottled skin. No, let's see. Mottled skin, a party-colored hoof on a non-white leg. What does that mean? Party-colored means it's light and dark striped, looks like. It's like it's got vertical light and dark stripes or sections in it on a non-white leg. So not a stockinged leg. Because a lot of times stockinged feet on all horses are party-colored. But on a non-white foot. Mottled skin, which means their skin is spotted. And white sclera around the sclera is visible all the way around the eye. Around the iris. Now, some people think that means Appaloosas are wild because they look like they're bug-eyed all the time, but they're not. That's just one of the traits of an Appaloosa. Spots. And, well, of these 4, you have to have 2. Spots, mottled skin, party-colored foot, hoof on a non-white foot, and white sclera. So, for example, Angel meets all of those. She has all of those. She has party-colored hoof. She has mottled skin. She has white sclera. All that. Sterling, her son, his father is a quarter horse, meets none of those. I think he has 1 party-colored hoof, but he doesn't have anything else. His roaning, they won't take for spots. Trixie meets all of them. Bo meets all of them, and so does Sky. They're all offspring of the same mare. 2 of them have the same daddy. Sterling, who is a solid, and Sky, who is fully papered, have the same daddy. Exactly the same bloodline. But that just goes to show you the Appaloosa coloring is a kind of a crapshoot, to be honest. There's no way to predict it like there is with some other breeds. But yeah. So when you have an Appaloosa, if they don't meet 2 of the 4, you have to pay extra to get them registered for show papers. You can get them what are called pink papers, or they used to. I may have changed it by now, but when I registered Sterling, I had to pay an extra $300 to get him showing papers. In the paint horse organization, it's exactly the opposite. Chips is a breeding stock paint, which means he does not meet enough paint characteristics. His papers were actually cheaper than Flame's full papers. But, you know, whatever. I love them. It doesn't matter to me. Trixie is actually not a registered Appaloosa because her father is a warm blood and they won't take her in the Appaloosa Horse Association. So, la-ti-da. Anyway, let's go to do the cards. Okay, so let's do our cards today. We're going to do 2 today, and then I think I might start picking up 3 here and there just to catch us up since I missed a couple of days. So our first one is Marina Koskova. Marina Koskova was born in 1912, died 1943. First woman in the Soviet Union to earn a diploma of professional air navigation, Night Witch. She and her all-female squad of fighter pilots went up against the Nazis. Not only did she and her team face an enemy that discounted them, they also had to endure misogyny from their own side. Marina's squad was given little more than plywood and canvas planes that could not hold much weight, so this meant no navigation tools aside from a map, a ruler, a pencil, and a small flashlight. This didn't stop the badass women of the 588 that was later named the Night Witches by the Germans from being one of the most successful groups of fighters in the war. They used their planes to their advantage, often taking the Nazis by surprise. Unfortunately, I'm unable to find a quote from Marina. Still, I feel that her message is taking the resources you are given and using them to the best of your ability and finding the hidden qualities that may go overlooked that will make them invaluable. A bunch of plywood and canvas can take down a Goliath of an enemy in the right hands. So I need to look up about her because if she died in 1943, that sounds like she may have died in combat. So I'll have to look her up. Oh, the next one is someone I am familiar with. Marie Curie. Marie Curie was born in 1867, died 1934. The first person to win the Nobel Prize twice, the first time for physics and the second for chemistry. From Marie, life is not easy for any of us, but what of that? We must have perseverance and above all confidence in ourselves. We must believe that we are gifted for something and that this thing must be attained. Marie and her husband did their research in a shack, thinking about that by today's research standards, how crazy that must have been. They also refused to patent their discoveries. Marie and her husband, they refused to patent their discoveries and openly shared their knowledge with other scientists. For Marie Curie, what mattered most was the discovery itself, not the fame that may or may not have been attached to it. Marie's energy will help you find your own perseverance, your own passion for that thing that is uniquely yours. Request the help of Madame Curie when you feel defeated or underappreciated, as she knows all too well that feeling and will help you find your way out of the darkness. It is ironic that she is a physicist because, yeah, that will definitely be someone that I call on for some things that are going on in my professional career. Okay, so I think that's where I'm going to end. I did take note of somebody had mentioned that the sound was a little loud on the music, so I'm going to try to fix that on this one. Hopefully that will work because I didn't realize there was such a disparity in the sound when I did the playback. But anyway, I am wore out. I told my friend that I went to his yoga class. I'm like, man, you wore me out. I don't know if I'll be able to walk tomorrow. I mean, I'm fine. But at any rate, so I will check in with you guys tomorrow. Bye.